Hey there, Rustin here. So, got off work a little bit ago, and I actually knew about this video. It had dropped yesterday. It's now Christmas Eve. I just haven't had the chance to. I want to give my raw reaction. Didn't want to just be like, immediately after work, just go live, especially right after. I know that the Ruler School podcast, they went over it already, I'm sure. I mean, I say I'm sure. I know they went over it. But I just wanted to get my genuine reaction to it. I know that a new format dropped. That's about the extent of what I know about it. Aside from some slight spoilers here and there. I mean, I've tried to avoid the Discord and all that. Try to avoid spoilers. Give my raw takes, raw reactions. On that note, actually, I'll go ahead and let's. I don't know if anyone's gonna be joining me, but let's go ahead and hide the chat just to be safe. Oh yeah, it's already hidden. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. So yeah, I'll look at chat as soon as I'm done watching the video. I just want to give my raw impression on it. I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of Arcana Battle Coliseum. I think it's good that we have alternate formats for the game. The more alternate formats we have, the less stale that the game will be. If the competitive scene isn't all that great for you, you have other avenues of playing the game. You have other ways of experiencing cards that you normally wouldn't experience. I will say one of the biggest positives for ABC is that it does kind of force you to play with cards that you might not necessarily play with. You might only play 1 or 2 drops, and ABC forces you to play those higher costing cards, which is a positive. It also forces you into the 2 attributes, so you kind of have to work with different things they might not normally work with. But with a new format coming out, got, fingers crossed it's gonna be something interesting. So yeah, let's not waste any time. This is gonna be a very short stream, I can already tell you. It's a 7-minute video. I'm probably not gonna really stop unless it's relating to the format or if something interesting comes up. But yeah, let's crack open Dr. Pepper. Hope that this is I'm sure it's gonna be a positive for the game, but I mean hopefully it's something that I'm gonna be interested in. Alright, cheers. And then afterwards I can go and watch the Ruler School VOD and get their impression on it. Alright, let's pause the music.
Hi Rulers, this is the last news video of 2024. A lot has happened this year. We started the year with the first of many Masterpiece collections. We've been preparing Masterpiece 01 Pilgrim Memories for a long time, and it's the first time to directly support old Rulers. Starting with the most classic cluster in all of Fossil Realm, the Grim cluster. We also released the Trinity cluster, another step in the history of Fossil Realm. This has been one of the most special clusters for us, as its entire development has been linked to events that happened in the past during the Lapis cluster, and to every event that will happen from now on in the history of Fossil Realm. No world is safe from the influence of Gil Lapis, but we'll talk about that in the next year's video. We also celebrated WGP 2024, a fun event at the highest level of competitive gaming, where we experienced the good vibes, friendship, and cultural diversity that Fossil Realm represents. We want to thank everyone who made it possible, from those who participated to those who came to say hello or to enjoy the ABC event. Speaking of ABC, we have also released our new multiplayer format, Arcana Battle Coliseum. With its 11 different structured decks, we were so excited.
I know that they said that they're reprinting the double color cards from this, but I hope they reprint like the exclusives from those decks as well, just like down the road, because like unless they're planning to reprint them in the future, I hope that those cards will be available to everyone else, like outside of just those. That's kind of like my like little nitpick on that. It's like really cool decks. I'm really happy that like they're supporting ABC like fully by printing like full-on products on it. So that's really cool.
With them, and we are so glad that you have really enjoyed them. So, we will continue supporting ABC in the upcoming collections, and will continue releasing exclusive ABC products in the future. But as
on that note, I really hope it's not like Magic the Gathering with Commander, where it's like a new Commander deck every single set. I really hope it's like a once-a-year thing, because that's how Commander like decks used to be, was that it was a once-a-year product, so it was kind of special. So if they make the ABC decks a once-a-year thing, I'm all for that. Yeah, definitely.
2024 finishes, it's time to look into the future. Do you want to know what 2025 will bring for Fossil Whale? I have asked Kawamoto-san, our producer, for permission, and he allowed me to tell you a little bit about what 2025 will be like. In 2025, we'll continue with the Masterpiece collections, starting with Masterpiece 02, Fates Reunited, which will support the Lapis cluster. If you want to know more about how the paradox that Flute and Kaguya created during the Lapis cluster affected the story of Fossil Whale, subscribe to this channel, because in the first video of 2025, we'll learn much more. And yes, don't worry, in Masterpiece 02, we'll support all the rulers from the 4 Lapis cluster collections. Afterwards, we will finish the Trinity cluster with 10 North at Protopatropolis' War.
Oh, that is gonna be a hard one to pronounce. I'm sorry, what?
With 10 North at Protopatropolis' War. The story that will end this cluster, where Lucy will meet Helen and the remnants of the room. There will be new resonators. AAA. Leica will get her final form, and we will finally find out if Urshafu is or is not a cat. The war for Protopatropolis is...
Ooh, that is some clean artwork. I mean, that's the video thumbnail artwork. Oh, hey, okay, it's gonna be tied to the demonic war. Okay, man, that's some clean artwork. That's gotta be like promo artwork. That is, oh man, that's gorgeous.
Is about to begin, and during the third quarter of 2025, we will release a new cluster, the Devil Cluster. I'm not allowed to share much more about this cluster yet, but I can tell you the name of the world in which the story takes place. Yomit-God, a world of swords, magic, and demons.
That sounds pretty cool.
We've been working on a surprise for 2025 for a while now. We're going to try to increase the number of GPs from each region to increase attendance at WGP 2025. Damn. And if possible, the first competitive events of 2025 will begin at the end of March. A new year requires a new beginning. The Fossil Whale timeline has been divided for some time due to a paradox created by Kaguya when she turned back time. The collection that will explain how time has moved forward in 2 different timelines and coinciding with Masterpiece 02. The collection that will explain how time has moved forward in 2 different timelines. We have decided to create a new competitive format to represent the...
Oh. Okay, so this is Paradox format is not going to be a casual format. It's actually going to be a okay.
Two different realities. Before I tell you anything else about this new format, it is important for you to know that this format is not going to replace Wanderer. Both formats will coexist and will have same level of support. This format is called Paradox.
Yeah, Paradox.
It will be rotative, but instead of rotating every 2 clusters, it will rotate every 3 clusters, including an annual rotation where each masterpiece will replace the previous one.
Okay, so like similar to like how Magic has it's similar to New Frontier. Like New Frontier kind of was like every 2 years and all that, or every like the most recent 2 years, just because that's how clusters were 4 sets every year. So it just kind of like naturally was a 2-year rotation situation. So, I mean, 3 clusters, well, it's also an annual.
Rotating every 2 clusters.
Yeah, 2
It will
clusters.
rotate every
Yeah,
3
3
clusters,
clusters,
including an annual rotation,
Annual
where each
rotation.
masterpiece will replace the previous one.
Oh, okay, so it's similar. Okay, so Masterpiece will be like the core set for Magic. That's what it's probably gonna be. So the Masterpiece are I mean I say we have it as a community have compared Masterpiece to like the core sets of like I want like the major reprints like Ferrisville, fucking wow, why am I blanking right now? Garion, Lorite, fucking hell. Yeah, just all the staple. I know I just said a bunch of cancels, but like some good like burn spells, good draw cards. I'd love to see like some enter the game of gods, like some of those cards like come up like Loki enters the game of gods in Masterpiece collection, like that'd be kind of cool. We were looking at I was looking at prices yesterday, and Kilua Fossil Girl in the City at normal printing is $9 right now at normal printing. So that card could probably use a reprint. I'd like to see that in the Masterpiece 2 is a Kilua Fossil Girl in the City. I know it's just a normal, but that thing is fucking expensive for a normal. But yeah.
Let's see an example. Right now, this new format contains the Hero Cluster, the Trinity Cluster, and Masterpiece 01. When Masterpiece 02 is released, it will replace Masterpiece 01 in this format.
So that's very cool. So yeah, these will be like swapping out, they said, every like 3 clusters, and then this will swap out whenever a new Masterpiece comes out. That's kind of cool. So the format's gonna like it's gonna stay like the core of like the rulers that you're using, but the Masterpiece is swapping out means that the I'm assuming staples will like have a rotation going on, so it's gonna be like yearly like fresh, but it's like they're bringing New Frontier back, but they're making it. I'm assuming Masterpiece does do reprints of staples. It's like they're doing New Frontier, but similar to Magic, where like they will reprint staples. Like Magic always has like a counter spell, like 8 just counter spell, like getting reprinted. Shiva Dragon, Sarah's Angel. The core set like will have like stuff that you see throughout the history of the game. So if Masterpiece does continue to do reprints of like key cards throughout the history of the game, and they just like kind of like slightly rotate what is in the Masterpiece, this could be really interesting. This would be very comparable to Magic's standard in this case, if they do continue to treat this like a core set. So that would be pretty interesting.
And when the next cluster comes out, it will be added to the format without replacing the Hero Cluster.
Right. Because
with Paradox, players who want a deck building challenge will find it by having a small pool of cards to build a deck in the Paradox GPs. And the players who like using all the cards in the game will still be able to do it in the Wanderer GPs. Also, we have created Paradox as an easier way to join forces.
Okay, that whenever they got rid of New Frontier, that was a genuine like problem that a lot of us in the community had, was that New Frontier is a fantastic hopping in point because you could hop in like at the start of a cluster and only be like 4 sets behind, and you like gradually like build a collection, and then once you've like gone through a cluster of collecting cards, come the next cluster, you're now caught up with everyone else, and it's like the first initial sets are like, okay, let's try out this game, let's get used to it and all that, and then like you build a collection, you get a good deck going. It's like, okay, well, I've had a lot of fun with the game, I want to try the competitive scene, and it's like, oh, that's awesome, rotation is happening, I'll be able to hop in and like be like at the same like card pool collection as like the other people that are like already with the game. So being 3 clusters, assuming they don't make clusters like super fucking long like hero cluster. Well, that'll honestly be like a pretty solid way to, yeah, kind of like get the newer players in. And then, like, if masterpieces do have these staple reprints, like I mentioned, even like players that, they have like a love for like older cards, there'll still be like, some more like enjoyment there. But keeping Wanderer and this rotating format in is that's like one of the best moves right there, in my opinion. Like, when they got rid of New Frontier, I love Wanderer, but when they got rid of New Frontier, I was like, how are we gonna get fresh blood in here if it's like, okay, yeah, just buy the new sets and then like here's a list of staples that you need to go and like collect and stuff for the game and stuff. And this is good. This is good. This is good. And like, like I said, like assuming the masterpiece, collection does reprint staples from the game's history, kind of like pushing into Wanderer after they've like tried Paradox a bit. Also very doable because it's like, oh, these staples that came from this masterpiece collection are just staples for the game in general. That's awesome. That's good. That's good.
Well, for new players. As I said before, we will provide continued support for Wanderer, ABC, and Paradox. Every collection and promo cards that will be released 2025 onwards have been developed with these three formats in mind. And of course, Wanderer, Paradox, and ABC will have their own and different ban lists. We will use the official website to announce these lists as we usually do. Fortunately, since Paradox is a much smaller format than Wanderer, Paradox's ban list will be much smaller and duration of the cards in it will depend exclusively on the time left on its rotation. Oh, and one last thing. The format of WGP 2025 will be Paradox. In 2026, the WGP format will be Wanderer. But this is subject to change. We will announce the WGP 2026 format the first quarter of 2026. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for continuing to support Fossil. Thank you so much for continuing to support Fossilware, and I hope you enjoy Fossilware so much. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for continuing to support Fossil. Thank you so much for continuing to support Fossilware, and I hope you enjoy Fossilware throughout 2025 as much as we do. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Ruiz. See you in the next video.
Yep, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, yeah. Okay, cool. Damn, okay, that's awesome. Okay. So, I don't know if I had hot takes, but let's see if anyone chimed in for this. I know I kind of just dropped it like very, very like out of the blue, but I'm open to any criticisms. Since they're supporting Wander and Paradox together, no, it's definitely good because now, like, if someone wants to like hop back into Force Will who like sold all their cards or something, they can hop back in at Paradox, and like gradually build a collection, and then whenever rotation happens for Paradox, they'll still have their cards that can be used in Wanderer. As long as they continue to support both formats, that is very positive. That's what I wanted them to do with New Frontier, was to have both New Frontier and Wanderer like coexisting, at least for a while. Like when they just like hard no more New Frontier, I was like, oh man, that sucks for all the new players that have to go and like get a bunch of old cards to add to their collection. Like, this is a very positive thing, yeah. But yeah, no, I'm digging it. I am digging it. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of chime in on this. Give my raw reaction of it and all that before I go and watch the Ruler School VOD on it. I don't have any major criticisms on this format. I think this is a very positive thing for the game. It's not overly complicated. The most complicated thing is that Masterpiece is like going to rotate more often than the actual clusters. That is the only thing that is going to be like somewhat complex, but the fact that Masterpiece rotates when a new Masterpiece comes out assuming like, you know, it's like good staples game printed with them, it should be fine. Yeah, new format. Yeah, so it's going to be a rotating format, similar to New Frontier, but and this is kind of the example of it. So right now we're in Trinity Cluster. The format before that was Hero Cluster, and we have the most recent Masterpiece set as that was like earlier this year. So that set right here, Masterpieces, are going to be annual rotations. So when Masterpiece 2 comes out, that'll be replacing Masterpiece 1. And let's just scooch on ahead. And Paradox format is going to have 3 clusters and a rotating Masterpiece. It's like the 3 most recent clusters and then the most recent Masterpiece. So this is like the core set if you want to compare it to like Magic. So this has a lot of potential. It's New Frontier, but assuming Masterpiece continues to work the way it is, it's New Frontier with like OG staples for the game, because like the first Masterpiece had a bunch of OG staples from out the game's, you know, life. So it's like the core sets for Magic where, you know, Counterspell gets reprinted, Shiva Dragon, Sarah Angel, you know, those kind of cards, you know. I'm assuming we might see like Dual Stones get reprinted in Masterpiece. But yeah. Been so long since I played, the game has changed so much, become much more complicated overall. Still love the artwork, but I've fallen out of the game and have no clue where I would jump back. So, well, with this, there will actually be 3 formats for the game now, like, officially supported. There's plenty of, like, fan formats. I personally love 100 Epic Stories. It's, kind of comparable to, you could compare it to, Commander, if you play Magic. There is, Wanderer, which is, like, all the cards from Grim Cluster onwards, just all the cards, and then it has a ban list, obviously. And then there is ABC format, which is the like officially supported multiplayer format. It's also singleton, like 100 Epic Stories. You know, ABC format is like Commander, but you can only attack in one direction, like clockwise, and you defend from one direction. So you have like 2 opponents if you're playing with 4 people. Then you have 1 person diagonal to you that is not an opponent, but it's a little funky. ABC has their own like star decks and stuff, which is great. I myself just am not the biggest fan of the format, but there's plenty of people that love that format because in ABC it's not last man standing; it's the first one to kill an opponent, or it's the first person to kill a player, I should say. Yeah, overall sounds great. I'm just curious how they balance things between Wanderer, Paradox, and ABC. But I appreciate that it is much harder to manage Wanderer than it would for something like Paradox. See, that's the thing, like, when New Frontier was, like, the thing, we had, like, no ban list for, like, the longest time, because the clusters would rotate. So like if a card was a problem card, it would be gone in a year. And assuming that you know, we continue to have like shorter clusters, like if Trinity Cluster is like maybe 3 or 4 sets, you know, or like if it's just like, actually no, they said that like another set's coming out for Trinity Cluster, so it's gonna be at least 4 sets. Assuming that we don't have a whole lot of just big clusters, this format should be very manageable. Yeah, with Paradox, smaller card pool, pretty sure it'll be easier for their design team to manage and spot problematic cards, so there's that positive. Yeah, definitely. Like, and like if a card is like problematic in Wanderer, they can be more mindful of it in Paradox, but even if it's banned in Wanderer, it might not have the like cards in the Paradox format that make it a problem, which is cool. Like, I do dig that. Something that I'm curious about is that they'll have Paradox exclusive cards. Like, cards that are like... Well, no, you can't really have Paradox exclusive cards because, like, the thing about Wanderer is that it's every card. like every card in the game. So that might be a little funky. Well, and you could just do like this, like cards. They could like reprint cards that are legal in Paradox, but are banned in Wanderer. Like you could just like straight up like print a card that is on the ban list for Wanderer in a new set, and like players that like they just have to be like, okay, this card was not printed for Wanderer, it was printed for the Paradox format. So there's that. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest. My locals doesn't it doesn't sell the game at all. I just order online. I order online, and then there is a very good like online community for the game, and I do most of my like gaming and like tournament play like through Discord. Like they even have like officially supported like tournaments through Discord. You can get a invite to Worlds online just by playing like an online tournament. Like the game is very accessible. Like I think everyone knows how niche Force of Will is, so no one's gonna like gatekeep of like, hey, you have to travel and GP grind through traveling. There are in-person events, but it is very much like, okay, I'm just gonna like play in online GPs because, yeah, it's the most convenient thing. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no. I think this is a very positive thing. I feel very good about this. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of ABC. I do like that the cards were printed with multiplayer in mind, because I can use those in 100 epic stories. So, yay. That's why I looked at the ABC decks as. I was like, okay, there's some cards that are good in Wanderer, in the competitive scene. That's cool. But these multiplayer cards, I'm just like, okay, I want to toss them in my 100 epic stories deck. But yeah, no, I feel good about this. I went in a little worried, but I think overall this should be a positive, because anyone that is like somewhat new to the game, that like hopped in at like trendy cluster, they just gotta wait, a little bit until Hero Cluster rotates out, and then they can kind of like start to look into a competitive scene a bit more than like if they were to just hop into Wanderer, because Wanderer is a massive card pool. Paradox is still gonna be like a fairly decent sized card pool, but it's not gonna be as fucking nutty as like hopping into Wanderer as a new player. So I feel good about this. Yeah. Masterpiece sets rotating separately makes sense to me if they release the next Masterpiece halfway through a cluster, because then something is rotating like every 6 months. Honestly, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. They do they're doing GPs in the fall, so I think maybe like springtime Masterpiece. Is that what for this year? It came out in February, right? Was February whenever Masterpiece 1 came out, I believe. So that might not be too bad. Yeah, because you'll have like half a year to adjust to the new Masterpiece, and then like probably like would you want it to be, actually, to be honest, I'd want the cluster to rotate opposite of a GP, opposite of Worlds, I should say. I don't know why I was saying GPs. I'd want the cluster to rotate like around springtime is what I would want, and then have the Masterpiece like maybe summertime. That might be better. Yeah, I'll be curious, because they could also like, they've gone on record of saying, hey, clusters are not going to be a set number of sets. That could change. They could go back to like 3 or 4 like sets per cluster. Hero Cluster was that was like 6 or 7 sets. That was a huge cluster. Let's see. Yeah, I like that they have the available webcam play is suboptimal, though in my opinion. Hard to read cards and hard to ensure people play above board. Not that people always cheat, it's just way easier. So fun part about that is that there are actually rules as far as how you need to set up your webcam. So unless someone's being like dastardly as far as how sneaky they are, I actually have a webcam setup video that shows like the proper rules as far as like setting up the webcam. So you can't have it like straight down. You actually have to like show. You actually have to have like the cards like in view of the camera. Yeah, this is a bad example. I could plug my webcam in real quick, but I have like a video showing it off and all that. But yeah, no, it's hard to cheat in Force of Will. In fact, I'm not saying that they were a cheater, but there was a illegal deck that got pointed out from someone who was watching a tournament. A card may have just slipped into their deck, but based on how cameras like view and stuff, we would have seen them slip the card in. At least like I think we actually did. Like if you roll back the footage, I think you actually do see them like grab the card. Was probably like completely accidental, just like, you know, brain fart. Oh, I got this card next to me. But yeah, not gonna go into details on that. That was a whole fiasco for a while. Yeah, let's rebalance and switch up what reprints are. Yeah, that's what I like about the Masterpiece sets the most, is that they are going to be a lot of reprints, a lot of staple reprints. Wanderer is Legacy, Paradox is Modern. Paradox is going to be the closest we'll have to Standard, I would say, because it's essentially going to be like 2 to 3 years worth of sets, I would say. I guess like if you look at Masterpiece as like Modern Horizons, but Masterpiece is going to rotate as well. Like Masterpiece is going to rotate every year, and then clusters are going to rotate for the most like 3 recent clusters. So yeah, the Paradox is like the closest we'll have to Standard, which we used to have. We used to essentially have Standard of New Frontier, but that got pushed to the side. Let's see now. So 1 to 2 years from now, we'll see cards in the Paradox format undergo reworking protocol. I'm really doubtful they would do that. Maybe in like a Masterpiece set they'll do an errata and like reprint it in a Masterpiece set. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Paradox won't have any reworking issues. They might have erratas, but it's not gonna be like an overhaul of like a card that goes into Paradox, I'd imagine. Well, they might. Okay, here's what they might have, like a reworking. Well, actually, yeah, no, that's kind of a funky thing because it's based on clusters. So the Memoria like prints. Oh, actually, yeah. What are the Memoria printing packs, like the Memoria reprint packs, gonna be? Are those gonna be tied to that set, or are they gonna be their own separate thing that is tied to Wanderer? That is a question I have. Where are the Memoria reprint packs gonna be? Like, will that be a Wanderer thing, or will that be actually like in cluster? Because if you look at the Memoria reprint cards, do I have any near me? I don't. They're elsewhere. Yeah, those are all promos. Those are all promos. Oh wait, Garion? No, that's a promo. Shit, why did I just have a stack of promos next to me? Okay. But yeah, the Memoria reprint packs have their own like set codes. So I'm curious if those are actually going to count in Paradox, because they're not technically cluster cards, they're reprint cards, like purely reprints. Let's see now. Love That Foul is still kicking and people can still enjoy it. Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's a very niche game, so anyone that's here isn't in it for like glory or money. We're in it for the community and the fact that the game it's a fun game. It's not perfect, but the company they're doing their best to make sure that we continue to buy their products, which means that they have to like kind of like cater a bit to the small community, because if the community goes, the game goes. So we're the lifeblood. If we lose interest, the game dies. Because they don't have the backing of a strong anime IP. They don't have the legacy of Magic the Gathering. They don't have the collectability of Pokemon. Is purely community driven at that point. Like yeah. So I feel like standard, more recent format is. Yeah, no. This is very similar to how standard would be. Because like I said, clusters aren't necessarily, this isn't going to necessarily be like the past 3 years, because we've had a cluster where it was only 3 sets instead of like 4 sets. So this could easily we could easily have like paradox formats that like kind of like fluctuate a bit as far as like how many sets are in at a time. Which I mean, like, that's kind of how it's always been, of like, when a new cluster starts up, you have like a smaller card pool. But yeah. Yeah, no, this should be easier for newer players to get in. Like, if a newer player hops in at Trinity Cluster, Devil Cluster comes in, to be honest, they might have a card pool that's strong enough to actually, like, compete in Wanderer because of how Masterpiece might go. Like, there might just be, like, a goated Masterpiece set that has a bunch of, like, good reprints for Wanderer. But, like, this is what's nice, is that over time, a new player that just collects cards, they will be able to just compete at a competitive level with the like cards that they collected, that they didn't have to like go out and like drop a bunch of money to like get a bunch of like Wanderer staples from throughout the history of FAL. They just naturally built a collection. Like, that is really cool. That is solid. Yeah. I'd prefer if they did like a soft reset. The text on the cards and the abilities mechanics seem a bit out of control these days. And again, I've been away for a while. To be honest, they've kind of like there was a time where like the text got really bad, but they've definitely like dialed it back a little bit. If you like played back in like Grim and Alice Cluster, and then like I'd say like New Valhalla is probably like, no, New Valhalla had some long text. I would say if Rhea had a lot of long text, I would say like Lapis to like, so that would be like the first like what, Grim, Alice, Lapis. I'd say like the first like 3.5 years. If you play in like the first 3.5 years of Force of Will, yeah, it's a lot of text on the cards. Like, we're not to the point of like Yu-Gi-Oh where it's get a magnifying glass to read some of the cards, but there is definitely a lot of text on cards. But I would say that like they've definitely like they've lowered the word count a little bit compared to like some past clusters. But I mean, yeah, it is still a lot of text to read. The game is still enjoyable. Like, even like for friends that don't necessarily play at like the competitive level, they do still enjoy drafts, sealed, just those like limited formats of like, hey, here's a bunch of new cards, let's make a deck out of some packs that we cracked. So there's that. Yeah, you played back at like about the first like 3.5 years of the game. Yeah, I know that was like the game like just barely going past the 2-year curse that most games usually die at. So yeah, that the game has definitely changed, because we're at like the 10th cluster, so like the 10th year. Yeah, no, you've been gone for a while, yeah. Then I kind of tried jumping back in a few years ago. I don't remember the set. It had a Ragnarok, Epic of the Dragon Lord. Yeah, that was a really cool set, yeah. That's honestly like a great set to hop back in. It has some of the best limited formats, like draft and sealed for that like set in particular is fantastic in my opinion. I still have a bunch of packs that I just have because I used to do like ruler hunt videos and stuff where like I would only crack packs until I got however many rulers were in that like particular booster box, and there was only one ruler in that booster box at a time, so I just had like a bunch of packs that I just saved over the years, and I still occasionally like to have limited formats with that set. It's a really good set. Like, is a fantastic set for limited play. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, to be honest, I would just say, like, get plugged into the community. And, there's a link in the description of this stream. Go get plugged into the Discord. You don't even have to, like, collect cards. There's, like, plenty of, like, I say plenty. There's like two big ways to play online these days. One is through Untap. I'm sure you've heard of that. And then also Tabletop Simulator. Some people in the community have actually, like, put the effort into actually, like, getting a simulator on Tabletop Simulator to work. And you can actually, like, download, not even download, you can, like, grab a deck from a website called Force of Wind, which is, like, our go-to deck builder. And that is, like, one of the best ways to like, deck build. Like, if you hop back into the community, make a Force of Wind account, you'll find, like, a bunch of decks that people have made that are public. People post, like, top 8 lists and all that. People post just, like, a bunch of good stuff. There's also, like, metrics that you can do. You can also, like, search cards based on popularity. It's very helpful for, like, deck building and, like, newer players and stuff. And then, like, the Discord community is just a fantastic place to get plugged in and just, like, get reacquainted with the game. There's plenty of, like, helpful people in there. Like, we have probably, I want to say, like, some of the best, like, new player friendly members, because I feel like that's, I feel very biased when I say that, but there's a lot of guys in the community that are just, like, they are very helpful. They're incredibly helpful. Yeah. So, like, if you have any questions or anything, someone in the Discord community can usually answer it. If not, they know who to ask. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. The stream has gone on a lot longer than I thought it would for a 7-minute reaction video. 7-minute video to react to. But it's been fun. It's been fun talking to everyone here. Yeah, we'll call it here. Next stream will be on Friday. Probably playing some more Zenless Zone Zero. Pack opening shorts are almost done for the year. We're on the 24th. So we got 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. We have 7. I almost said 7. Just wanted to make sure that my count was correct. We have 7 more pack openings until my 1-year challenge is over. WoW just checked TCG player and prices are way up from what I remember. Dang, I remember buying booster boxes for like 70 to 90. They're 100, 150 now. I mean, some booster boxes are. If you get plugged into the Discord, we can let you know about some booster boxes are like $40, $50. There's some really cheap stuff out there. But you gotta also account for there are now Memoria reprint packs, and I've had a Memoria reprint pack, like the pack alone, a pack of like 5 cards that are a buy box thing, like you get it with your booster box. I've had those be like $80 in a little like bonus pack that you get in a booster box. Like you get a lot of value in some of those. So yeah, by all means get plugged in and we can kind of like help guide you a little bit. And like I said, Untap, Tabletop Simulator, some great stuff if you don't want to drop money on the game yet, or if you just want to like test out some new decks and all that. It's a fun time, yeah. Alright, but yeah, it's Christmas Eve. I got some family stuff that I need to go and prep up for. And then, obviously tomorrow is Christmas. Hey, Christmas! So yeah, we will be ending the stream here. Like I said, Friday, another stream, gaming and all that good stuff. We'll call it here though. Have a good night. Oh, wait, actually, before that, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays for everyone that doesn't celebrate Christmas. If you don't celebrate any holidays, have a good, end of your year, have a good start to the next year. It's fun times out there, stay safe, A lot of crazy stuff in the world. But yeah, have a good night. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.